to talk about the PR pathways for the onshore applicants. So today I've got a very different topic, and it is for the PR pathways for the offshore applicant. So I'll be discussing about the PR pathways for those applicants who are living currently in the offshore, and I'll be talking about the 189, 190, and 491 different visa, which is general skill migrations visa. And I'll also talk about all the states criteria and then points. And at the end of the session, then I'll also take the question answer session. So you are free to leave your question during the session, and at the end of the session, I'll go to all the questions and then I'll answer them. So I can only provide the general information during the live session. And if you really need a detailed consultation, or if you really want me to look your case, then you have to contact me. We do the face-to-face consultation, or if you know someone who is here, then they can come us to here for the face-to-face consultation, and also we can provide you online consultation over the Zoom or Teams. So I'm going to share my screen to you so that you know that the information that I'm talking about. Okay, I hope you can see my screen here. So today's topic is obviously for PR pathways for the offshore applicant, and it is for the 190 or 189 or 491 visa. Okay, so topics will be PR pathways and the requirements for the 189, 190, or 491. And at the end of the session, I'll take the question answer session. Okay, so I would like to start our presentation with the recent announcement. So it was the announcement from the immigration side. So it was the announcement made on the 2nd of September 2022. So what they are, I just want to see 1 second. Okay, let me share the screen. Sorry, it was not shared. Video on. Okay, so sorry for the screen was not shared due to some technical issue. Okay, so I'd like to start from the beginning. So today's topic is about the PR pathways for the offshore applicant. So I'll be talking about the 189, 190, and 491 visa subclass. So these are the visa subclass that people can apply from the offshore. This is one of the this comes under the general skill migration, so you don't need any employer to apply sponsor you for this visa. You can directly apply for the one of these visa if you are being invited to apply for the visa. Okay, so obviously the topics we'll be covering will be the PR pathways, and then I'm going to talk about the 189, 190, and 491 visa subclass, and then I will also take the question answer session in the end of the session. So I'll start with the recent announcement. That was announcement from the immigration. So they made an announcement on the 2nd of September 2022. So what they're saying is there have been a significant increase in the permanent migrations for this financial year. So which is one from the 160,000 to the 195,000, which is exactly 35,000 more permanent visas to address the skill shortage that Australia is currently facing. So it means like there will be a lot of 189 invitations, a lot of 491 invitations, and a lot of 190 invitations during this financial year. And I have also got one like news. It was taken from the 7 News, which is one of the very popular news in Australia. So what they're saying is there are like some top 10 jobs that are currently in demand. So number 1 is construction manager, number 2 is civil engineers, and number 3 is early childhood teachers, number 4 is registered nurses, 5 ICT business analyst or system analyst, number 6 software or application programmer, electrician, chefs, and child carers, and aged care and disability carers. So what the Australia is doing is Australia government is calling to address the calls from the businesses to have a more skilled workers to bring into the Australia to meet the skill shortages. So that's the Australian government planning at the moment. So before going to the each subclass, I would like to give you a brief introduction about the Australian states and its main cities. Australian states, there are 8 different states in the Australia. So, and then all of them have a big, major city. So New South Wales have one of the states, New South Wales, which main city is Sydney. Another one is Queensland, is main city Brisbane. For Northern Territory, it is Darwin. For the Western Australia, it is Perth. And for the South Australia, it is Adelaide. And for the Victoria, it is Melbourne. And for the Australian Capital Territory, it is Canberra. And for the Tasmania, it is Hobart. So all these different states have a different requirement for the 190 and 491 visa. So if you want to get migrated to NSW, then which is Sydney, then you need to meet the criteria of the NSW. Then you will be able to get the invitations from the particular state. If you want to get migrated to Western Australia, then you need to meet the criteria for the Western Australia to get the invitations. And I've also got the migration allocation quotas for this financial year. So all the states, they have got the certain number of allocation for this financial year for different subclass for the 190 and 491. So highest number for the 190 visa, which is direct PR, has been received by the Victoria. So it has received a 9,000 allocation. And for the 491, NSW has received a highest number of allocation, which is almost 5,000 allocation. So all the states have a different number of allocation, and then they will invite the people who are onshore as well as who are offshore, and then meet these quotas for the financial year. Okay. So before going to the requirements, so I'd like to describe you about how the PR pathway and process works. So first of all, I have divided, to make the clarity, I have divided the steps into the 5. So number 1 is the skills assessment. So you need to get your skill assessment. Your skill assessment can be based on your occupation, based on your education, qualification, as well as your experience. So you need to have a relevant qualification, as well as some of the occupation. You also need to have a relevant work experience to get the skill assessment. And after skill assessment is done, then you need to calculate your points, which is you need to lodge your expression of interest, and your points will be depending upon the various factors. For example, for the age, English, skill implement, education, whether you have done any Australian study while you were here or not, whether you have a doctorate degree, master degree by research, whether you have a PY, NATI, whether you are a partner or a single. So these sort of categories, they all give you the points, and then you need to score a maximum points so that you will be at the top of the list, and then you will be able to get the invitations. For the 189, you will be eligible to lodge the expression of interest at 65 points. So 189 is a direct PR. You don't need help from any state. So it is like you just getting the PR. While 190 is also the direct PR, but you just need a 60 points on your own, and the 5 points will be given from the state. And then 491. 491 is not the direct PR, it is a regional visa. You will receive a 5-year of visa. In the 5 year, you have to live in the regional for 3 years, and then you can do any job and get the income of almost $54,000. So for this visa, you just need a 50 points on your own, and then 15 points will be given from the states. And after that one, then you will need to meet the additional criteria of the states. So points is not really a factor. You also need to meet the criteria of the state. So step 2 and 3 will go together. And then after once you meet the criteria of the states, then you have to wait for the invitations. And then once you get the invitation, then you will be able to lodge the visa like 189, 491, 190. Okay. So number 1 state is New South Wales. So New South Wales, the main city is Sydney. So they have 2 different pathways for the 190 and for the 491 as well. So 190, which is direct PR. So to be eligible for this pathway, you need to be continuously residing offshore for at least 6 months. And then you need to meet the work experience as well as points score is specified in the 190 list. And for the 491, which is not the PR, but it's like a provisional PR, you need to meet the residence criteria, which is like you need to continuously residing offshore for a minimum of 3 months, and then you also need to meet the work experience and points score. So there are so many occupations in the 190 and 491 list from the NSW. So I've just picked up some popular occupation. For the engineers, most of the engineers occupation, you will need 100 points and 1 year of experience for the 190. And for the IT occupation, you will need 100 points plus 1 or 2 years of experience, depending upon your IT occupation. And for the registered nurses, you just need 65 points and the 1 year of experience. And for the chef, you just need 90 points and the 3 years of experience. For the civil engineering technician, you will need 90 points and the 3 years of experience. And for the accountant, you will need 110 points and 3 years of experience. So when I say the points in the 190, you will be given 5 points from the state. So it is inclusive of 5 points from the states. And now for the 491, for the engineering occupation, you will need 105 points and 1 year of experience. So when I say the 105 points, you will be given 15 points from the state. So you should be having 90 points on your own for the engineer's occupation, because the 15 points will be given from the for the subclass 491 by the state. For the IT occupations, you will need 110 points plus 1 or 2 years of experience. For the registered nurses, you will need 90 points and 1 year of experience. And for the safe occupation, you will need 95 points plus 3 years of experience. For the civil engineer technician occupation, you will need 105 points plus 3 years of experience. And for accountant, you will need 115 plus 3 years of experience. So you will need to meet the work experience requirement as well as the points score. So if you are just meeting a work experience requirement but not the points, then you are not going to get invitation. So you need to meet both of the requirements to be eligible for the 190 and 491 nominations from the New South Wales. Next state is the Australian Capital Territory, which we commonly say is ACT, and its main city is Canberra. So for the 190, your occupation must be in the list. So all the states, they have their own set of occupations. So your occupation has to be in the list. And then you will need to provide a full-time job offer for 2 years from the Canberra employer. And your employer must be medium to large Australian enterprise with the 50 plus employees. Then they will consider for the 190 nominations. And for the 491 nominations, your occupation must be in the list, and you will need to have 3 years of full-time postgraduate experience. And you also need to show the evidence that you are employable in the ACT. That means you can show the evidence that your job is highly demanding in the ACT area, so that they can accept for the 491 nominations. So for the some of the popular occupations, for example, for the engineers, you need 115 points in the ACT matrix. The ACT have a different matrix point system, which is very different to the EOI. So for the engineer occupation, you will need 115 points, and the points can be sometimes low or high. So 115 points is the point that you should expect invitation for the 190. For the IT occupations, there is no info. I think there has not been any invited invitation for the 190 for the IT occupation, so there is no information available. For the registered nurses, you will need 100 points. And for the chef, you need 150 points. And for the civil engineer technician, so the occupation is not in the list. And for the accountant, you will need 120 points for the 190. And for the 491, again, engineer occupation, they will need 95 points. For the IT occupation, 70 points. So IT occupations information was not available for the 190, but for the 491, so there was an invitation at 70 points for the IT occupation. So you will need to have a 3 years of postgraduate experience. That's all you need to score. Yes, that's all you need to meet, and then you need to score 70 points to be able to get in nominations from the Canberra under the 491 subclass. And for the nurses, you just need 65 points. For the chef, you need 90 points. Civil engineer technician, not in the list. And for the accountant, you need 110 points. So you will need to meet the criteria for the 190 as well as 491, and then your occupation has to be in the list so that Canberra, Australian Territory, which is Canberra, they can nominate you for the 190, which is direct PR, and for the 491, which is the provisional PR. Now, next state is Victoria, and its main city is Melbourne. So Victoria has a 190 as well as the 491 nominations. So your occupation must be in the list. So actually they are open to all the list. So all the occupations which are in the medium and long-term list. So all the occupation in the medium long-term list are eligible to apply for the 190 and 491. So there is no minimum work experience requirement for the 190 and 491. And what they have said is they will prioritize with the health occupation, but if you have a skill assessment and then if you have a good number of experience, then you can always apply for the 190 and 491 in the Victoria, because the criteria is so easy and there is like nothing much in the criteria. You just apply. If your occupation is very rare and demanding, then you have a very good chance of getting invitations for the 190 and 491. Now, next state is Tasmania, which is our main city is Hobart. So in the for the 190 nominations, so there is no pathway from the Tasmania for the 190 nominations. So they only have a 491 pathway. So actually they have two different pathways under the 491. So first one is, if you have a job offer in your occupation, then you will be eligible to apply for the 491, but your employer must have been actively operating in Tasmania for 12 months. So if you have a job offer from an employer that has been actively operating in Tasmania for 12 months, then you can apply for you will be eligible for the 491 from the offshore as well. Another pathway is invitation pathway. So your occupation must be in the overseas skill occupation profile. You don't need a job offer. And however, you need to provide the evidence that at least 2 Tasmanian employers are very interested to give you a job about you. So you can provide the evidence of like emails or any conversation, so that once you get the visa, once you go to the Tasmania, then they are very interested to give you the job. If you just provide that evidence, you are eligible to apply for the 491 under the invitation pathway. You don't need a job offer in this invitation pathway, but in other pathway you need a job offer. So some of the popular occupation in the overseas skill profiles are engineers. Normally you will need a 3 to 5 years of experience. For the IT occupation, from 2 to 5 years of experience in a reputed company is desired. And for the registered nurse, experience in the countries like UK, Canada, South Africa, USA, and New Zealand, Hong Kong will be preferred. And for the chef, you will need a 3 years of experience. For the civil engineer technician, need a 3 to 5 years experience. And for the accountant, you will need a 3 to 5 years of experience. And then they also want experience in CPA, CA, or SCCA accredited firms, so will be highly regarded. So if you want to get the nominations from the Tasmania under the 491, you need to meet this criteria, and then you have a very good chance of getting invitations for the nominations. So next one is Western Australia, which is Perth. So they have two different lists. One is a general stream, which is called Schedule 1 as well. So to be eligible for the 190, you will need a prior 1 year of experience plus 6 months of full-time job contract from the Western Australia. And for the Schedule 2 occupation, you just need a 6 months of full-time job contract. So you will need to see your occupation, where your occupation is on a schedule 1 or 2. So depending upon the list, if your occupation is schedule 1, then you just need a 1 year of experience plus 6 months of full-time job contract. If it is occupation on a schedule 2, then you will need just a 6 months of full-time job contract for the 190. And for the 491, if your occupation is on a schedule 1, 1 year of experience is needed. You don't need a job contract. And if your occupation is schedule 2, then you don't need even 1 year of experience and no job contract is needed. So you can actually apply for the 190 and 491 or from the offshore for the Western Australia. Okay, so next one is South Australia, which main city is Adelaide. So they do have a 190 and 491 two pathways. And for the 190, your occupation must be open for offshore. Not all the occupations are open. And you just need some years of experience. So they have not mentioned like how many years of experience they will be needed, but you just have like some years of experience. So I would say like at least 3 years of experience in your nominating occupation. Then you can apply for the 190 from the offshore as well. And the criteria for the 491 will be the same. So depending upon your points, your level of your English and your points, so they will decide whether you can get the 190 or 491. But you can always apply for the 190 and 491 for the South Australia if you have a like good number of experience and your occupation is available for the offshore as well. Now another one is the Brisbane. So sorry, Queensland and its main city is Brisbane. So they do have a pathways for the 190 and 491. To be eligible for the 190, you need to have 80 points in the UI, and then your occupation must be in the offshore list, and then you need to have 3 years of experience at least. That's for the 190. Some of the popular and sorry, for the 491, you just need to have 65 points in the UI, and then same like 190, your occupation must be in the offshore list, and then you need to have 3 years of experience to be eligible for the 491. Some of the popular occupations that are in the Brisbane or Queensland offshore list are engineers. Most of the engineers are in the list, so you will need 5 years experience. And IT occupation, you will need 5 years of experience. And for the registered nurse, so they have not mentioned any experience needed. So if you have a registered nurse, then you can apply and have 80 points in the UI. And if you have 3 years of experience, that's general requirements, then you will be eligible to apply for the 190 or 491. For the SAFE, need 5 years of experience, and for the civil engineer technician, they have also mentioned like no experience needed. So last one is the Northern Territory, so which main city is Darwin. So unfortunately, they are closed for the offshore applicants. So they do not have a pathways for the 190 and 491 nominations as of now. So now I can start taking the question. So before taking the question, I would like to announce that we do have our office in BANKSTOWN. So if you are around in the BANKSTOWN, or if you know someone who is living in the BANKSTOWN, then you can also go to the BANKSTOWN. We do the face-to-face consultation as well as online consultations. So now I can start taking your questions. So if you have your questions, then you can start. You can start your questions in the comment. Then I'll go to the comment and then I'll ask. So like I said, like I can only give you general information. So if you really need more information, then you need to book a consultation with me, and then I can guide you through the process. Okay, so I'll start from the. Okay, I've got some of the questions. So Mahesh is asking, hi, Aussizz 190 visa onshore, done medical and PCG. I have recently moved out in Australia. Can I still get my grant? Well, yes, absolutely. You can still get the grant. Your 190 visa can be granted onshore and offshore, so there is no problem. Even if you are outside of Australia, that's absolutely fine. Hi, is accountant in a Queensland list? I'll have to see the accountants. So let me just. Okay, I don't think accountants on our offshore list, but they do have a list for the onshore applicants. Okay, so Usman is asking pharmacy technician 80 points from the NSW offshore 2.5 years experience. What are the chances of selection? Okay, let me see whether your occupations condition for the occupations. Pharmacy technician is 3121. 3123. Okay, so they just need us 75 points and 2 years of experience. With a question gone. Okay, so you do have a very good chance because you are meeting the points as well as 2 years of work experience requirements. So you do have a very good chance as a pharmacy technician. Sunil Saha is asking, I'm studying accounting in South Australia. Can I change my course or is there a possibility of accountants? Can you please share? Okay, so if you are studying accounting in South Australia, yes, definitely you can change the course. Or if you want to continue with the accountants, there is also the chances because in South Australia, if you do any job in South Australia, outer regional for 6 months, then you have a very good chance of getting invitation for the 491 nominations. Okay, I'll just take the question from the Facebook. Sri, can you please explain about the ROI? If you have lost the EOI for both 190 and 491, which one would you put ROI as always only visa category for one? Okay, which study are you talking about? So if you are talking about the NSW, we don't have a ROI for this financial year. So if you are talking about the Victoria, yes, you will need to put only one ROI. So Jenny is asking, my husband has 8 years of experience as an executive engineer. He is an engineer, is he able to apply for the yes? So if you have 8 years of engineer, then you will be, I think the occupation that we can do the skill assessment engineering manager. And then of course, your occupation is available for the 190 or 491 nominations. Hi, what option I have? I live in Fiji, secondary school teacher, 13 years of experience. My hobby is ICT, around 10 years, I think. Okay, if you have a secondary school teacher, the secondary school teacher are really demanding at the moment. So you can get the skill assessment done. And then to be able to apply for this one, let me see the secondary school teacher one. Okay, secondary school teacher, they just need 85 points and a 0 experience for the 491, and for the 190 you just need 90 points and 0 experience, so you do have a very good chance. Okay, so Rakesh is saying completed bachelor in information and management, working as a digital marketer, 4+ years of experience. What is the pathway and chance for the 190, 189, and how can I start with? So you have done digital, working as a digital marketer, 4 years of experience, so information technology. Okay, so first of all, we need to do your skill assessment. We need to find the occupation for you. So you will need to provide me the resume, and then I will have to see the duties as a digital marketer. So if you are like marketing, if your occupation is marketing specialist, then we have to see where your occupation is available. I don't think your occupation is in the NSW list. So we'll have to see your occupation in details, and then the first thing will be to start with the skill assessment. Any chance for 491 offshore statistician with 6 years of experience, 75 points? Okay. Statistician is a really good occupation. We have been getting invitations for that one. You do have a really good chance. For motor mechanic in Adelaide. So let me see the Adelaide occupations. If your occupation is motor mechanic, and if you are currently offshore, yes, your occupation is open for 491. You just need a 65 points and some amount of experience. You do have a very good chance of invitations for the motor mechanic. Sangeeta is asking, how can I engage with Aussizz Group? So you can contact us. So we have our office in the Australia, in all the states. So if you really want to directly contact with me, then you can contact my email address is suman.kc@aussizzgroup.com. Or if you want to contact with any other branches, we have branches all over Australia. Okay, Thierry is asking for Victoria. Otherwise, should we put 190 or 491 if you have applied for the US for the both? Yes, even if you have applied for the US for the both occupation, you can still apply for the 191 ROI. That's fine. Okay, Rakesh Prajapati, do you mind sending me your resume so that I can discuss about it more? So my email address is suman.kc@aussizzgroup.com. Then I'll have a look. Okay, so this is a session that I can only provide a general advice only. I'm just saying you still PR can be possible from offshore. So for the more details and everything, obviously I'll have to look your resume and the details and qualification. It is very hard to decide, within a 5 second, you fall into this occupation or you get the PR. So it's better you always, ask the general question, and then for the more details, you can contact me. Okay. So if you have any more questions, you can ask me. Hi, Jenny. Yes, you send me your resume, and you also write email that you contacted me through my live session. Then I'll know to whom I'm talking to, and I'll see. So my email address is suman.kc@aussizzgroup.com. Okay, guys. So if you have any more questions, send me your drop down your questions. I'll just give you the general advice. Can you tell which states require ROI? So ROI will be Tasmania, Victoria. They need ROI. Okay, so it looks like okay. Any more questions? Okay, so like I said, if you really want a detailed consultation, then you send me the resume, and then I'll have a look with the resume, or just book consultation with me. We do provide the online consultation as well. And then I can look your resume and the qualification, and then we're gonna talk about more details about your scenario, because because some of the occupations are really tricky that we really need to see the actual document, and then we can only advise it. So like I said, you can contact Aussizz Group. We do have an office in all the Australian states, and then we do provide the online consultation as well. So I'm going to end my live session now. So if you do have any questions, please feel to contact me.